What's good, everybody? We're about to get into another awesome episode. We're in season 4 of ITUTv Podcast, and it is so important that we have a discussion on what an amazing year it's been thus far. So let's talk about it. Now, we started an amazing year out with ITU Rise, which basically grounded around the point of, if you're just getting started, you got to get up, you got to stand up, and you got to make it happen. And those that showed up had an amazing time.
Government, we're going to lend you this amount of money, and this is what you're going to pay in the interest fees, right? The government says, okay, cool, boom, everybody, this money is in the system. It's out there. Go grab it. But everything's going to be paid as far as taxes go, this, that, and the other. You're going to be paying a lot more money in the long run, right? So in that case, inflation, though, is not going up. It's actually, in a way, it's good because this stuff is going to be affordable for the time being. But when you take core CPI into effect, that includes automobiles. What happened with that? It came down. So what do you think is happening with the prices of automobiles?
Went up.
No, they're dropping.
It's dropping? Damn.
Cars aren't selling as much.
Exactly, that too. Supply is inevitable right now because all those. Think about this. What's in the news with electric cars? What just happened at the beginning of January 25? Anybody know?
Just like they started the whole EV movement with the building. What is that? Raytheon? It's not Raytheon. I might be wrong with it, but like they just started the whole EV company. That's where all these chips are coming from. They're trying to shift it from gas to just all EV.
Right, but from the basic population, from like you and I, what happened with all the electrical vehicles? You were on the right track, Naeem. What happened with all the electrical vehicles? What would stop them from being sold to the public? What would cause somebody psychologically to say, I'm not going to go buy an EV vehicle now than I would 2 years ago?
That Cybertruck caught on fire.
Not just that. Not just that. So the lack of confidence is there, but also the most important is that all of those extra tax write-offs that Biden had promised all expired. So there was a benefit in 2020 to go and buy an EV. All of those things are gone now. We've talked NFP, we've talked inflation, we've talked tariffs, interest rates. Okay, let's talk interest rates because we do have one of these coming up here. Now, the Fed rate is the basis bottom line of any of the other rates. If DXY drops, then this will go up. Okay? So when DXY drops, what do you think happens with EU as a currency? Euro USD. Does it go up or down?
It goes up.
That thing goes up.
Right. It goes up. So there are direct correlations in that sense. The biggest one that I love to talk about all the time, it should be a baseline for a lot of trades because it's probably the easiest one to correlate with, and that's USD and AUD. AUD will always work opposite of the US dollar. So when USD comes down, AUD will go up and vice versa. So you're not going to necessarily worry about the support, although if you do see it and it's like, okay, cool, I'm coming down, then you're going to want to buy at that right price, and it might cause you to say, I'm going to wait another day than to sit there and buy at that exact time. Same thing with executing a live trade, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm looking off of the small time frame for an entry, I might wait until a higher time frame to actually reach a support or resistance before I execute. So then this way I can get again into the best price possible. Now, this also applies to FX pairs, currency exchange rates, right? Structure comes into play again, right? If it hasn't necessarily reached the support or the resistance that you need, it's probably going to be an entry rather than an exit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm tracking. Because if you're able to pick up on that, or to to see that early on, like, hey, all right, so if the rates drop, this could spike a bullish movement, and for the long term, and then you catch that at the beginning of the year, that'd be a great setup. But
It
then
could,
if
but
if if you're able to navigate that and see whether it'll be a bullish setup or a bearish play for the year, you can navigate and set up your trades around that, so that you don't have those ego trades and those revenge trades where you're jumping in and out and just scalping every other trade. And oh, that's nice. I like that.
yep, absolutely, absolutely. The individual who doesn't necessarily understand that side, my side, and then all of a sudden it's going to divide us even further. So what I will advise is a lot of this information, although very, very good and very, very helpful, it can change you in a lot of ways, right? It's going to help you see things through a whole different lens, because then you start seeing all of, for lack of a better word, the bullshit that they give us. Okay. So take with it what you wish.
I'm already knowing.
Take from it with what you wish, apply it to your everyday life. And like I said, there's a lot of things you'll find within, like I said, news topics, news situations that pop up. You're gonna start thinking in the sense, how's this gonna affect my trading? How's this gonna affect me making money? You know what I'm saying? And then at that point, now you've become a little bit numb to the BS. And now you're just looking for what's going to be effective.
Yeah, see, now I know better now how not to get caught up in the BS.
Yeah, that's the
Becoming
biggest thing.
one of those emotional traders, and just like seeing or trying to catch a scalp real quickly. Oh, it's going up. It's on a bull run. Let me jump in here, and then not knowing what's going on, and I just get taken out quick. Yeah,
I
but
was going
now
to say, how many times have you ever been in that, and then like it's supposed to go reach a certain support or resistance, and then all of a sudden it just goes back the opposite way.
I actually just closed my silver trade because it did that. I was in um a buy, and earlier it was only about like $20, and I was like, okay, maybe it'll retrace, it'll bounce back up. But then I was looking at it, I was down $125.
Invalidated candlestick pattern. So even if you came in, you were like, hey, this happened, and maybe it will pull up and give me a sell opportunity, you have to be quick on accepting the fact when that's not the case. Even here, evening star pattern was made. It got the push down to the support level, but the purpose of it was just that, just to reach the support, because we're in a bullish trend. So bullish trend looking for bearish activity, 9 times out of 10 is for a pullback. It's for a retracement, meaning the market is coming in to retrace into a location it needs to confirm before it can continue in the intended direction. And that confirmation you can see comes twice. So what you'll find traders do is complain because they'll get into a buy to go long and think it's going straight up because everybody believes the market just shoots straight up, right? Never the case. It will come back to confirm. This is confirmation 1. The double bottom was the second confirmation. It's gone. We had the same thing back here. So understanding in 3 months is as simple as reading these patterns, making sure everything is still in alignment with what you saw in the 12, what you saw in the 6, so on and so forth. 1 month, same type of information, guys. Now you can kind of get more detail you are currently in understanding these patterns that are happening, what's being held up, what's being lost, right? One pattern that you could say is in development right now that could go against you. Being prepared for the buy and the sell is important. Don't get confused. Just get clear that what needs to happen for this to go up, what needs to happen for this to go down. Higher high to higher low. before the push. Again, I haven't even gotten into tools. I'm clearly just giving y'all how to see it just with your keen eyes, what you're recognizing. When you go your candlestick patterns and learning them and studying them, your chart patterns, you're then going to come in here and together like this by seeing, identify something off of those charts as you scale down into the market. So now from your monthly, here's what's going to happen. Weekly will be available to you. Now, this is something that we teach you guys more in depth when you're involved, but I'm going to give you some simplicity to it so you can use it to your advantage. And I'm going to remove the bearish flag just because in my key point, I'm with the bulls. Now, can anybody tell me why just right here I would be bullish in this scenario?
Well, you got the 3 candlesticks showing momentum coming up. You got a double bottom here. And then you're in like a specific supply and resistance zone that tends to flip. So price action is going to do something there, and you're seeing momentum go up based on the trend up.
No. Guess everybody good. Cool. That made sense, guys. Then anybody want to take a stab at breaking down the chart?
Yeah, I'll break down. We got you.
Yeah. Let me open it up. Go ahead.
Okay. So let's backtrack.
Whole TDA, by the way.
Okay, we do a full TDA. Okay, so let me start with the 6 month because I think that'll be good context as to the decisions that I'll make coming into the week. So if we see here, this is back in 2021. This is what is this, 2025, January 25. We see a 6 month bull trend coming into the 6 month down, right? And so the previous, candle has been caught up here, but we see a trend line that is respecting off the 6 month. So we can really pretty much have a high probability that, it will respect this big trend line. Until it breaks it, we want to be able to know that it's going to respect the big trend line. So jump down to 3 months. Okay. We start to see some fair value gaps here. I'm going to move this. Big fair value gap down here, but it may not hit this fair value gap like in the next week, right? But, I want to mark it just in case. But I noticed that, you have a big kangaroo tail here that, it could be continuation. We got to see. It's a lot of exhaustion here. So I'm understanding that, this big idea setup can be a big retrace down into this zone to go back up and then maybe either go in the zone, go up to the trend line and fail, or it will go into this place, break that 6 month trend and reverse for like a big bullish direction. But right now in this month and this week, we know that we're looking at probabilities of it going back down into this zone here to respect that 6 month trend. Okay, we go into the monthly. Okay, monthly, we see that, okay, it has a little consolidation here. Our trend line here is a little bit smaller, but we still want to mark it down here. This is another fair value gap that we want to look at. So, based on what we see in the monthly, we have this and we want to mark our monthly high and our monthly low. okay, for the previous month.
Welcome to Independent Trading University at ITU. We're more than just an education platform. We're a community built to help you succeed. Trading can feel like a solo journey, but with ITU, you're never alone. Our team is here to support, guide, and push you toward mastery. Technical analysis support, so you can read the charts with precision. Fundamental support, so you understand market-moving news and economics. Psychology support, so you can develop the mindset of a successful trader. We provide the tools you need to thrive: weekly live education, 24/7 community support, and real-time trading setups from experienced coaches. Wherever you are, access the education and mentorship that will transform your trading. Join ITU today and trade with confidence.
And they made it happen. So if you're one of them ones, make sure you check this out, because you're going to hear it straight from the mouths that were there.
What does that mean? Well, that gets me angry. And when I'm angry and I trade, blah, blah, blah. So what's the boundary? I don't talk to people an hour before I trade or whatever it is, right? So you can set yourself up to have that, conducive environment and mindset for you to have that healthy trading experience and checklist, but also on a day-to-day basis with the other areas of your life, right? So if you're if you're someone who's on this call right now and there's like this haphazard, you're trying to find function within chaos, and you're kind of just letting the days, if you don't run your day, you let your day run you kind of situation, then before you even start trading, we got to do some work on that so that you can approach trading with the structure that it deserves. Because the trading, as we know, trading doesn't care about how you feel. The charts are just going to move. Does that make sense? Or is that helpful, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, like, what I'm kind of imagining is that, say, for example, like I'm in the prop firm account. I need to make 3,000 to pass my test, 750 a week, 3 trades at 250. I don't trade on Mondays and Fridays. I only use those days as market analysis, and I do only 1 contract size until I reach my goal. So that's kind of like what I'm gathering from what you just mentioned, is that these are just certain things that I know that I will not break because they have caused me so much pain that it's like, okay, it's not even worth it because these rules have been tested through my experience with trading.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like, what happens if these parameters are compromised? And do those patterns that you set up, will that get you to where you want to go? 5 hours later, you had half. But you can focus on, okay, I profited still. I hit my stop loss and I was able to profit. Having profit at a hit stop loss, that's a win. But what did we learn? I'm going to, like, for you, and you could set your goals differently based off of your situation, but my recommendation to you is, if you're like, most of the days are bad days, I haven't experienced a lot of profit, and you literally had the amount of profit for your weekly goal in one day, what I would do is, whenever you have that amount set, you put it aside. And you're like, my goal is hit, so that no matter what I make or lose the end of the week, my goal is done. And then you're bonus trading, and you learn what it's like to physically experience taking out money that you said you needed to make. And then you physically experience the need of not needing to make any more, or being okay with losing because you already hit your goal. And guess what? When you can do that consistently, we raise the goal a little more. It's like, all right, now I'm confident now I want to make an extra 200 a week. Oh, wow, it's been 3 months already. I can do the funded account, and I've been able to make profit for the past 3 months. And you start to reframe that whole narrative. And then the days that you lose mean the same amount as the days that you won, because it's just part of the process. And the negative days aren't catastrophic, and the good days aren't the best days ever. It's just the results of your patterns that you're practicing. And then you don't get caught up in the emotional stock market of all that stuff. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep, it does.
Perfect.
Yeah, I had to
Well,
sit on my hands
Oh.
and I knew the moves were coming, but I broke my rules, so I had to pull myself out the market as punishment. But yeah, no, definitely would have won. Truthfully, doing the math on sticking to the trade parameters, I actually would have sat there and been funded that day, because I was literally that close. And then later in the week, I just got frustrated I wouldn't really say it was like the old habits that came in. Yeah, there was a little bit of greed in there, but I was so frustrated and pissed off at myself that I sat there and ended up blowing it anyways. But I don't know. I kind of looked at it as a blessing in disguise anyway. Sometimes you got to sit through it and eat that. And I think I'm now past that point, sitting there beating myself up all the time like I did in the past. It does me no good. So like I've just kind of been slowly implementing. I'm like, yo, I got to go back to the fundamentals. I actually got this. I know you're familiar with that whole mountain, the journey of the successful traders, eh? And I was just
Mhm.
looking at it the other day, and I was thinking about it, I was like, damn, dude, like I sat here and I just kind of jumped, tried. I was sitting there leaping from peak to peak to peak, but falling off because I didn't really have a grip. But I don't know, I don't know, I rerouted. I think what this was like the true first time that after over trading, after breaking my rules, that I could tell Zay why and what actually triggered me versus like, yo, man, like, this is going on with my family and, finances here, da 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 da. But this time I'm like, no, this is what happened. I had this going on in my head. I read this was conflicting with this. And I ended up, sitting there eating that. And then on top of that, I'm like, I know this is gonna move here, but I made too many trades and I ended up blowing it.
When we run the next one, which is ITU execute, which will be in April, that's we want to either replicate or we want to add to this, right? So just let us know of anything.
Yeah, I missed two of the days, so I got to watch the recordings, the playbacks. But
Gotcha.
I caught today, and I caught the market analysis day, and that's probably really been my main weakness is market analysis, or like the fundamentals basically. So it's like that shit was so digestible, bro. Like I'm like, yo, I don't know if it became more of a normal thing to me as I, went on because I never really left the market. I just stopped participating, but I still paid attention. But I don't know if it was that or the fact that like it's the presenters, it's y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's the professors that's how y'all putting it down is just easy to pick up. Like I'm like, yo, this shit making too much sense right now. Like, why didn't it make this much sense in 2021, bro? Like, I thought it was. I'm like, is it me or is it these? Like, they just like these guys is that tough. Like, I'm like, what's going on, bro? Because I swear it was like another language for real. Like the first time around, to where I was like 90% technical analysis and 10% fundamentals, if that. And it's like now I got a whole different outlook on it. A little skeptical because I wasn't all in because I was in the little community, like I said, back when I first started learning. And they taught us how to trade. Like I ain't gonna hold you. I got my money's worth. But the guy who ran the whole shit, young kid, he ended up zoning all of us, like the whole community, and just disappearing with everybody money and then changing professions. And that's when I first got hooked. Like he took bro, I was fucked up. I took my very last, because it was during COVID. So I drive trucks, so I wasn't working. And I took my last $3,500 unemployment check and went all in on some shit that he put his life on and got cooked. So that's when I hopped out the market. That's why I hopped out. I was butthurt for 3 years, bro. I got cooked for my last. And I'm like, I know Zay. I trust Zay. We grew up together. He's like a brother to me. But I'm telling you, I don't have two of those in me. I don't have two of those in me. You feel me? When I see Naeem intro video, I'm like, all right, I feel a little bit more comfortable. But I'm like, I'm telling you, bro, I don't like 30. He took my last, bro. Like he took it from 100. That class was probably hundreds deep. Like you taught us how to trade, but then you like, I got a great exit plan. He cooked everybody and just disappeared. So I wasn't really off the community thing. I'm like, if I'm gonna win or lose, I'm gonna do this shit by myself.
Yeah.
You feel me? But I gotta change the heart, of course.
Yeah, I haven't to a lot of people. These guys are man, I ain't put in a situation to lose thousands of dollars.
Oh no.
See what I'm saying? It ain't gonna happen, man. It's not, because it's stupid. Like you can practice. It makes no sense.
Steve about to be up.
Hey man. I mean, throughout these 5 days, man, I gotta tell you, like it definitely makes things a lot clearer that I didn't have in the past few months. And I think naturally now when I can consistently hit 50 to 60%, then that gets me where I gotta go to at least, work on just being profitable, maintaining wins. But, like you said, like looking at how I approach the trade, it's starting to change how, I see like, like probabilities, like, if it's a trend, what's the trend? Follow the trend and allow your opportunity to come out of what the trend is telling you based on, we've been learning about this. So it's like I said, now I think this next piece for me will be trying to, like live, remain, just keep patient. You know what's going to happen, but you just have to trust that it will happen. Like trust myself, trust my decisions.
Yeah.
So
That's great, man. That's really, really good. What about from an economic standpoint? Is there a better grasp around that, or is you still a little finicky, or so how to apply it to your trading environment?
I mean, as far as like now, like I can start, marking off news events like times and days that is within my trading week. This could give me an opportunity to keep looking at, like what's the news about, to dig deep into it, maybe do a deep dive in it. But my thing is like, I would rather be technical, because I think technical can really, give me something that I can control. I mean, it's already an uncontrollable environment, but I can plan for that.
But I mean, it still stands on the statement made as I break it down bit by bit. And that's why I type it out how I type it out. I mean, mindset wise, it's helped to remove the problems. I'm very self-critical of myself and of my mistakes. I harbor on them pretty well. So Daniel's definitely helped me to separate that from myself. It's not me. I still can grow. It's a problem in my process itself and my habits itself. So it puts the spotlight on it. Technical side, still got a ways to go. I'm finding my way. My actual process, like what I was doing, isn't broken because it worked perfectly with EU. It's just like I need to sit here and hone it that going through my pairs, it is consistent. But yeah, definitely having the holes there, learning, spotting different holes, different ways to see it. Going through the plan, like watching Steve post his plan, it just literally helps me it's been helping me to sit there and look at how I may not be looking at my own plan itself. Economically, like right now, I mean, a whole different way to journal now, like going through, that is every pair that has to do with my pairs, including indices and the news that is expected. I've got my notes written down of like how each one sits there and affects the markets, or the forecast, plus the actual plus previous NFP, all that different stuff. During this, I've gone through and acquired the names of every single Fed chair for each country. So that way, as I'm looking at the news, when I see the names, I know who it has to do with. Instead of such and such speaks, I'm like, okay, this has to do with this. Like right now, the Fed chair for GBP, he'll be speaking. Well, she already. Yeah, I think it's the she. Will be speaking this week.
Okay.
And then the World Economic Forum, learning that has a big play on it. That's all this week. But just different ways to look at it.
It was something that you said yesterday, and just a part of like just betting on yourself, bro. Like you love yourself, you care about yourself enough to spend about about $615 a year if you even you're paying for it without being profitable in the market yet for a year. That's $600 you can't spend on yourself. And I know it's cliche, but people didn't drop $600 on Jordans, Yeezys, vacations, dinners, birthday part, like bottle sections. Like we didn't wasted it in so much other different ways. That's like, why not? You feel me? Like, why not? What else do you have to lose? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, that really just clicked for me. And I mean, not that it had to for you to say that, but the proof is in the pudding, bro. Like, I heard the Ferrari story. You sent me the other screenshot of bro turning 30 into 100. Like, I heard your testimony. Like, and I never knew you to be a bullshitter. So it just, like I said, that flame been sparked, bro. So I'm ready to tap in with the entire community, and hopefully at the next ITU Rise, I can have a testimony for whoever the new students during that time.
That part, man.
Now, following that event, we then had some awesome podcast episodes about relationships. We even had students on to be able to talk about what they've been through, and that turned out to be really, really amazing.
Now, in this conversation, we were alluding to here that these money-related decisions, they tend to impact a lot deeper than a lot of the decisions that are made, right? So the emotional and relational patterns, what, from your perspective, why do these decisions hit so impactful to people more than they even expect going in, right? We have the relationship, we've gotten together, we've had proposal, marriage, and now this whole money beast is in front of us to attack, you know? So that impacting people in their relationships, why do you think that it has such a deep-rooted impact?
Money is connected with safety and access. So money, for a lot of people, money is the way that they feel safe in the world. There's often a number that they have in their head that if there is that amount in a safety net, then they feel like, okay, we can handle anything. But money is also access. It's being able to do things. It's being able to take risks. And so, you're balancing these two very delicate things. And I think that people are used to the advice that they need to talk to each other about the boundaries with other people. I think it's common to have conversations about, are you going to share a bank account and who's going to pay which bills? But I don't think it's a common discussion about what risk you'll take with savings, with retirement, with trading, with all of these other things. Those are far more nuanced conversations, and I don't know that couples are really having those before they make a commitment to one another. And then they there's kind of this idea that people assume that their partner is on the same page with them. And so when you assume that, but your partner's doing something different, that can feel like a real betrayal in the relationship. And then you add into that any shame or grief that you might have if you've made good or bad decisions in the past that then come into each decision that you're making now. So then it becomes harder or easier to share with your partner based on whether that's been successful or not. And some people get into the pattern of like just sharing the wins and trying to keep the losses hidden. And then when that comes out, and it eventually all comes out, then your partner can have some feelings about that. And they may not think that that is keeping them in mind when you're making those decisions.
That makes sense. Daniel, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, no, that's all really good. And I think the other thing that seems simple and basic to do in the beginning, but asking what is your belief about money and where did you learn that? Because most of us grow up with our first thoughts about money are not based off of our experience with it. It's about our observation of someone else's experience with it. And so if when you're growing up, anytime money's brought up, you hear yelling or shouting or stress or concern, you learn that money is the cause of those things. And then you decide, well, I must have enough of it to where that doesn't happen for me. And so then money becomes your everything. And then let's say the partner grew up in a home where anytime money was talked about, it was like, of course you can have this allowance, and here's $100 for the movies, and here's this, and here's this. And they come in, and one person has a scarcity mindset, and the other one has abundance mindset because it's what they learned. And so what happens is you're just really good at practicing. You're really good at doing what you practice. So you're coming into a relationship with a practiced belief and practiced habits around the narrative that you have about money. And so before you go into this risk, even learning, thinking to yourself, like, as you're listening to this podcast, what do I believe about money? And where did I get that idea? And is that true? And is it helpful? And then asking the partner, okay, like, what do you believe about money? And are our beliefs contradictory or are they collective? And if they're contradictory, where do we find the common ground within them so that as we do a risk assessment, we're understanding each other's narrative of money? Because two of the most difficult things to navigate is love and money, and then the love of money, right? And so it's money itself doesn't change. Our dynamic with it does. And so your experience with money is based off of the definition that you have of it, which you learned somewhere. And then we just come into agreement whether or not that's the truth about money or not. And so I think it's a really helpful and healthy thing to do. Everything that Sherry said, plus just, hey, what do we believe about money in this house, and where do we learn it? And if we want to have kids, or if we do have kids, how are we representing this narrative to them so that when they're 15, 20, 25, 30, they have a healthy relationship with money? Not that they need it, not that they want a ton of it, but that whether they have a lot or a little, they themselves as a person are okay.
So that you have the abilities you need to perform on a day-by-day basis, right? But that information's got to come somewhere, and there's a certain level of commitment. Now, what are some things, we'll say, just this year alone that you feel you stopped doing that helped you improve?
Stop focusing on the money. Started focusing more on the process, less on the profits themselves. I stopped being so self-critical of myself and, sitting on the negative sides of things. Started, what was it? I just had the next at bat is it to change it, I believe is how y'all put it. But just change the entire perspective of how I look at it. Stopped living so much in that moment and then dwelling in the past, to where now it's more so in the moment to assess and catch those small changes, shift what I could have done better, and then focusing and putting that towards I'm getting better and for my future self, for my family,
Before we close out, let's bring some light. I want to bring a light on what this man's been able to accomplish so far, just in this year alone, after coming out of Rise, coming out of Trader Within, and being on this 5-week winning streak. Let's talk about where you are today. What does that streak represent for you? And what's different about your trading now versus before?
Man, like I said, I've committed myself to only trading during certain time frames. I've committed myself to only trade certain setups. And, I've committed myself to only trading a certain amount of times per week. And what that does is, if I'm only trading twice a week, then that forces me to really be patient and look for the right opportunity instead of just pressing the button, whatever. Okay, market open, let's just press something. Let's just do something. So I think that transition is that when you commit yourself to following those parameters, right, then you have to kind of live through it. You, like, no matter what, you have to have all the right conditions, but you still got to click that button, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. Like, when during this period, when I'm going through and following what I told myself I'm gonna do, and now I'm starting to see profitability, it's not about like I said, it's not about the wins and losses. Was I profitable this week? Even though I might lose, can I still bounce back and still find a way to reach my goal in profitability? And a lot of athletes, they talk about having amnesia when they, miss a shot or if they have a bad game, right? You got to have a certain level of amnesia to where you can detach your mind from wins and losses.
And then not only that, we had Trader Within. Now that event completely grounded everything that you needed. Everything that you needed to know that your mindset is truly what matters and plays a major role in whether or not you're capable of adapting your mind to the markets and knowing the decisions that you need to make.
Good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to Trader Within. Before we get started, I do want to share something personal myself about why today's sessions matter so much. We are coming from our Rise event, and where a lot of traders kind of got their grounding foundation and got going, and we're going into that end of the first quarter. So a lot of times the mindset part comes back into play. So for most of my trading career, the way I had defined myself through life came through the lens of other people, whether it was my parents, my teachers, my supervisors, sergeants in the military. All of those voices started to shape how I saw myself, how I judged my decisions, and what I believed I was capable of. And there's nothing really wrong with guidance, right, guys? There's nothing at all wrong with that guidance. But those voices help build discipline and structure. But what I didn't realize for a long time was that I had never fully learned how to define myself on my own terms. And trading really forced me to confront that reality because it is an independent game. Because when you sit in front of those charts, there's no bosses, there's no supervisor looking over your shoulder, there's no teacher standing over your shoulder, there's no chain of command telling me what decision to make next on a trade by trade basis. Every trade becomes a moment where I got to decide what I believe and whether I can trust my own judgment. And that's where most traders struggle, not because they lack strategy, but because they haven't developed the identity required to execute under the pressure in that moment. So for me, the breakthrough really came little at a time when I started to focus on something deeper than the charts and setups, and I started to focus on self-development through working with personal coaches, getting mentors that I had to make it important to me to say, hey, it's about you, and really making it obvious on what you think and what you believe about yourself on a trade by trade basis. So I started to realize that many of the limitations that we carry as traders have very little to do with the market itself, and they come from old narratives we have about ourselves, past experiences, and sometimes even past trauma that we quietly shape how we respond under pressure. So the person we have with us today has dedicated his work to helping people understand and rebuild their identities. Daniel Schuler has been doing identity coaching for now over 7 years, helping people uncover the false narratives that shape their behavior and their performance. He's helped thousands of people from multiple backgrounds. Over that time, he has coached people from 11 to 73 years old, nearly every industry you can imagine, business executives, athletes at multiple levels, military personnel, government officials, teachers, students, and even entrepreneurs.
Right. So if Zay's identity was, I am a trader, this is who I am, everything he does is relying on how he trades, even when he goes to the grocery store. But it doesn't take being a trader to go to the grocery store and buy groceries. There's something else. There's something deeper. So it's not, I'm Daniel, the coach, or Talia, the whatever you do, or Steve, the, ex-military, or Zay, even with ex-military. Like there's all of these titles and these labels, and what they do is they might feel comfortable, but a lot of the times, as we understand, is sometimes comfort can be restrictive, and you will not do what you know. You will not do what you want. You will do what you believe. Sometimes what you believe lines up with what you want. Sometimes what you believe lines up with what you know. But whether or not it does line up, you will do what you believe. And so that's why what I've realized over these years is like, dang, the power really is in the story. And I have personal experience with that as well. I was in the entertainment industry for 10 years off and on. I was pursuing collegiate and hopefully, professional athletics. And so I had all these false narratives that I received as a kid about who I was and what I was supposed to do and all these things. And I just realized like, wow, I am who I am regardless of all these things. And so the power in this, again, trading is what you do. It is a way that you can express different things. It is a way that you can make money. It is a way that you can build community, but it is not the entirety of who you are. But again, why do we typically as traders blame the strategy? Because we look at other people's strategy and it works for them, so why wouldn't it work for me? Right? Okay, number one, it takes time to develop your own strategy. You can develop principles of someone else's strategy and still make it your own. There's no requirement. There's just opportunities that are presented, suggestions that are presented based off of data, and then you can pick the way you trade. Either you're going to be a swing trader, you're going to be an intraday trader, you're going to come in and out. Like it doesn't have to be a certain way. But what we'll do is we'll look at people's results. We'll be like, oh, that strategy is the best. The same thing with fitness and nutrition. If someone comes to you and says, this is the way you have to do it, they're immediately wrong. Is it because they're wrong? No, it's because they projected the one way on someone they don't know. I don't know what your blood type is. I don't know what your blood history is. I don't know what your cholesterol is. I don't know what your health history. I don't know if you can metabolize protein. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, this is how you do things. No, that's not how you do it. It's the strategy is an invitation to figure out what works best for you.
The market doesn't reward predictions. It rewards timing. Liquidity gets swept. Price moves. And you're still guessing. Too many signals. No real confirmation. This is ITU Pulse. Built for one thing. Timing the move after the trap. Not before the move. Not in the noise. The moment of commitment. After liquidity is taken. After structure confirms. After momentum shifts. No guessing. Just execution. This isn't a signal tool. This is confirmation. Built for traders who already understand the game and want to execute at a higher level. If you're tired of chasing moves and ready to enter with precision, ITU Pulse.
So you talk about starting the year with Rise, following up with how does this affect my relationships? How does my family and friends play such an amazing role, hey there, in what I do? And how do I find and ground myself around taking this endeavor on seriously, making the time for that, and then at the same time, ensuring, come over here, hey there, ensuring that I'm capable and I'm able to do this. Then you go from that to Trader Within, because now we've got to find out and pull out of you the types of mindsets that are involved in making sure that you are capable of adapting and making sure you are able, you're a sleepy one, aren't you? You're able to make clerical decisions within the market with your finances. Now, not only that, we just finished up ITU Execute, and that alone made a major adjustment in many traders' execution capabilities. How do you show up each session into the market? How are you making decisions by trade basis? And what are you looking for from a technical approach that makes you, he's out of there, that makes you make the right decision at the right time? And seeing the market correctly, how the candlestick patterns play a role, and how the higher time frames affect the lower time frames, and the lower times affect the higher time frames, because once you get into your session, the game is on. Did you prepare properly? And are you ready to execute efficiently? That's what it's all about. So before we close out and I do review the VIP on the week, any question you guys on anything from this week?
The only thing I gotta say is I wish I would have had the money to go VIP. That's probably about it.
Well, next year we'll be back in action again.
I plan on doing everyone next year.
Most definitely. I hope it was informative. I hope it helped break some major boundaries, especially after we come from Rise, work these 3 months, and then start this next quarter. The big to-do was getting y'all set up in the execution style so that you can rock out the next 3 months strong. And hopefully amass some payouts or pass some challenges. Either one is cool with me.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, no, you made everything simple. Made it all make sense.
Awesome. You showed something that matters way more than results, and that's consistency in behavior. Day in and day out. No shakiness. Touched no Asian sessions this week. You came in London, did your thing, came to New York, did your thing, enacted on the right pairs and the right sessions, and showed an understanding of what is really going on across multiple sessions. Stay disciplined, followed your rules, like making sure you don't counter trend trade when it doesn't make any sense. Losses were controlled, stable. So that means you're no longer gambling with this thing, right? You're accepting the fact that it's not going in your favor, and your pivots was on point. How did you feel about some of those things?
I mean, overall, like I said, it felt good. Like I knew the days I wanted to go in, and it gives me just a better look at the situations that I can place myself in to be profitable. So the mechanics have become a little more automatic for me. So like I'm not too worried about overthinking. I was just jumping right in if I saw the setup. So that's what I'm saying. It felt like, getting the reps in was a good week for me to figure out, like I said, the setup, making the right timing and the right decisions. So, it's coming together. It's definitely I feel some advancement from ITU Rise.
I'm really excited, really, really, really excited for everything we've been able to do these first 4 months. And it's obviously made a major difference in a lot of those that have come and taken the time out to learn this skill set. I'm really excited for what we have next. So please stay tuned, man. ITUTv Podcast is not done. Season 4 is about to be absolutely amazing. And I hope each one of you tuning in completely enjoy what we have for you the rest of this year. I'm out. Come on.